Court meeting, June 24. It's we're a little bit late, 5:09. We'll make it up. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bartleman.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Parker.
Here.
And Judge Clymer.
Here. All right, and we have one on for the prayer. You going to do the prayer?
Yeah.
All right.
Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day. We ask you to be with us as we conduct the business of this county, and give us the wisdom we need to do what's best for all those who live in this county and all those who come here to work. Father, we just pray for our first responders as they continue to perform duties to protect the county. We especially want to pray for those who were out over the weekend to deal with storm damage. We're thankful that there were no injuries or no major injuries and no deaths, Father. Again, we just appreciate all you do for us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to
So moved.
second? Any discussion on the items on the consent agenda? No. All in favor of those passing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Those passed. Carry. And then we've got some budget transfers.
It is ordered the necessary cash transfers in the amount of $311,303.07 be made in order to pay county bills approved June 10th, 2019.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Accounts payable.
It is ordered to approve the vouchers claims register from June 10th, 2019 to June 24, 2019 to show county bills in the amount of $421,166.19 were paid.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. And under discussion, I wanted to just comment real briefly. It said in the prayer, Commissioner Bartleman, about our first responders and EMS. They had one heck of a weekend. I don't know that I could even recite all. Nobody's here from EMS, I think, but I know they were up at the lake yesterday evening, Sunday evening, were called to assist around Moore's. Not Moore's. Moore's marina there when it was partially destroyed. Reports of people possibly in the water. They responded to Kentucky Dam Marina, I think, what was that, Friday night, I believe. They responded to a couple of trucks turned over the weekend. They responded to a believed threatened suicide sometime, I think that was Saturday. So these men and women were extremely busy. They perform a very valuable service, and we can't thank them enough for what they do. Let's see, discussion on the interlocal agreement regarding Kentucky Division of Waste Management, hazardous household waste. It's HHW grant award. Do we have somebody here to speak to that, or do we want any internal?
Whenever, I think we need to put it into
It was on the consent agenda.
all right, okay.
Yeah. You like that consent agenda?
All right. It's a rocket docket. All right. Okay, got it.
So it's on the agenda in case we needed to discuss it. If there's no discussion, we'll go on. Then we have a county road aid cooperative program agreement. It's on the agenda for discussion. We need any discussion about that? We put these things on the agenda in case we need to, and if we don't, we can pass them by. And a joint resolution supporting the upholding the partnership between the city of Paducah and the county of McCracken to support the city's application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for a build grant, better utilizing investments to leverage development build grant.
That's still the Riverport, $10,000 to us.
Yes, it was, I forget the dollar amount. It was in that range. And there's an order in our list of orders, I think, that are separate to address those things in this. Then we've got a discussion item of supporting Partake in Paducah. There's a folder, I think you'll get, yeah, there it is. I don't know if anybody's here from Partake. No. We had them here before. I really like their theory. I like what they're proposing to do. It's a good program, good people. And I'd like taking in consideration our financial status being not very good, I guess you could say. Still would like to try to support them best we can. Any other discussion about that?
I'd like to put that off until we finish our budget. I know we're waiting for second reading, but if we see how we come out on taxes collected and how our budget's gonna look, whether we go forward with that.
I don't know. I was assuming there's, I went through all the orders. Assuming there's an order. Was there any order about that?
I don't think so, but we get to it. That's order.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's see, McCracken County Tourism Commission motion to dissolve the McCracken County Paducah Tourism Commission. It was tabled from the May 13 meeting. Discussion on that.
I would like to see what we need to do to move forward with going ahead and collecting our part of the tax. I know Mr. Jones has worked hard on that. You want to enlighten us a little?
Well, I think you had the joint meeting, and it sounds like, Sam, have you heard anything different from the city attorney that has some concern about our process and our thinking?
I haven't heard anything directly in response to the analysis that I sent over. I heard a particular concern about some of the unanswered questions regarding the bonds issue, but I haven't heard an analysis as to what that might be or what the implications may be. Essentially, I've heard no word to be the answer.
I was out of town. Steve, you said you had a copy of the bonds.
They're on my desk.
I know it sounds, well, the worst case scenario is we'd have to refinance those bonds because forming a new commission could potentially be seen as a default on those bonds. I think that would probably be worth it in the end because it's a path to an additional $1 million revenue.
Well, you'll find general discussion about the transit room tax in those long documents. But those bonds were issued as general obligation notes of the county that we didn't pledge the transit room tax, we pledged the tax base of the county. Like we do almost any debt, just to drive the best interest rate and the best terms of the debt over time.
My hunch is the only way to move this thing forward is to, in my business, we call it setting a trial date. And that gives everybody a date to get ready. And so I'd like us to set a trial date. And if we've got to move the trial date later, we'll do that. The motion, or as originally drafted, set a date for dissolution as September 1, 2019. And this would allow us to go ahead and start establishing our 7-person commission so that it's ready to begin its action on September 1. I guess the dissolution, I'm sorry, actually would be on August 31st. There is an August 31st, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay. Is there?
Yep,
All right. And then we.
always has been.
Okay. Just had a moment of pause there that I might be creating a date that doesn't exist.
Now,
You're good.
now, we don't have that, an order, I'm not seeing an order on that, so if we're gonna do a motion to, unless I'm missing it, do y'all recall seeing an order?
Well, I guess we've got the original motion, and if it passed, that would be the language of the order, I guess.
Okay. All right. So you want to make a motion now to go ahead and set that as the August 31 as the dissolution date,
Yeah.
as a benchmark at least, and prospective, and say we can, if we needed to move it forward or move it back, we could, but it'd be a
Yeah. I guess it's,
bookmark or whatever.
I don't know how to say this any other way, but obviously the action that has to occur for this to be seamless, as Commissioner Bartleman said, is the city has to impose its new tax. And I don't know how to, I'm guessing that if we take this action, then that will maybe spawn that into, but at some point, we collect the tax, and Madam Treasurer will have to have authority to spend the money any other way than to the County Tourist Commission.
I wonder if we could just put everybody on notice that we're going to dissolve it effective the end of August, and then come back next meeting with the proper resolution setting that date. Because we need to make sure, the proper order, because we need to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed so that we do it right.
Well, I mean, it can be done either way, I guess. If we go ahead and do it tonight and say August 31, it's being dissolved, then we're at June 24 right now. So what's that, 9 weeks?
They've got to have a first and second reading of their ordinance, and they've got to have some time to get their collection in. So,
Well, I can see some merit either way. I don't.
Well, it still gives us time to make any corrections we need on the ordinance.
I think we can pass it with the spirit of flexibility.
There you go.
Okay.
You have a copy of that ordinance you proposed?
Yes.
So we'll just.
So I guess actually, technically, it's been read. It was motion. The motion was made. It was seconded. It was put on the table. I guess, do we vote to remove it from the table, or do we just go ahead and vote on it?
Well, you're talking about leaving it table. Is that what you're saying?
No, I guess.
Go ahead and enact it tonight.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not on the table now. Do we have to actually vote to bring it off the table? I'm sorry for not knowing the answer on that.
I don't know.
I move that we take the resolution regarding the transient room tax off the table and put it before the body.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
So now it's before us because we had a first and a second on it.
That was a quick fix. Good thinking.
All right.
So this is a motion to,
Untable.
that's not what you said, though, was
To
it?
remove the resolution from the table and put it before the body.
Okay. All right, and so
So that's now
is
before
there
us.
then a motion to enact that?
Yeah, I guess it was read previously, so I don't know. Do we have to read it again?
You don't have to read it twice if it's been read once, I know that.
But we didn't vote on it, we just tabled it.
Right.
This will be the first reading, it would have to be approved.
All right, so we just need to take a vote on it then.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Call the question.
Okay. So,
You need to give that to the clerk so she
okay.
can read it properly.
So I'm reading all of this.
Let's
I
see.
think we read it one
Yeah, you
time.
don't have to read it again.
I think you just read the headline on it, heading on
So motion to dissolve City County Tourism Commission and to establish the McCracken County Tourism Commission.
Effective August 31st and September 1st of 2019.
Yeah. All right, any other discussion? Oh, is there, yeah, we've already, okay, any other discussion? Nope, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? All
it.
right.
This is the first reading, we have to approve it the second reading next time, right?
No, that's the second reading, right?
Is that right, Eddie?
Is this
It's
required
just,
to?
it's just an ordinance.
It's just,
Yeah, it's just an order. I don't think it requires to.
Yeah, so we don't need to, okay.
Oh, all right,
And if we see anything that needs to be done, we can just have an amendment at the next meeting.
Okay.
My hunch is we'll talk about this every time we get together.
The city
Right.
county,
For a long time.
31st, starting a new county the
okay.
1st.
Now we have a discussion for Pinnacle Sports LLC, or PI Sports LLC, which is Pinnacle Sports. Motion to enter into a contract with them tabled from May 13 meeting.
Judge, I think this was my motion. Rather than keep this on our discussion, I think why don't I withdraw that motion? That way it doesn't
Okay.
appear on our agenda until we're in a better position to know that that's what we want to do.
All right,
Let's just leave it the way it is then, right?
all right. They were withdrawing the motion.
So, yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see, and then we've got a number of court orders to run through that were not on the consent agenda. All right. Well, good thing we had the consent agenda, wasn't it?
You good?
Gosh, look at all this. This,
Okay. It is ordered a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a county road aid cooperative program agreement between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Department for Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019, be approved.
So made.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carried.
It is ordered that the bid for food service for the McCracken County Jail food contract for the fiscal year July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 be awarded to Skillet Kitchen Food Service.
So made.
We're going to have to amend that. It actually starts August 20th, not July 1st, so
Oh, the one we just read,
skillet for the.
oh, Skillet, okay. It starts when?
August 20th, not July 1st.
Okay.
I move we amend the order from July 1st to August 20th, 2019.
So made. Second.
Any discussion on that?
And then we remove fiscal year from that.
Yeah.
We'll remove fiscal year and then have August 20th instead of July 1st.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the amended motion then. Any discussion? I think we had a second on that, didn't we? Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered bid openings.
Hold on, that was the vote on the
Oh,
amendment.
yeah.
Now we need to vote
So
on
we got to
the
vote on.
resolution, or on the order. We voted to amend it, and now we've got to vote on the order.
All right. So, any other discussion on the order?
No. I make a motion that we accept it for August 20th.
All right. Second.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, that's granted.
It is ordered bid openings were held at 1:05 p.m. on June 10th, 2019 at the McCracken County Courthouse for health care services at the McCracken County Jail for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Bids were received from Quality Correctional Healthcare and West Kentucky Correctional Healthcare. The bids were taken under advisement.
Motion?
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the bid for healthcare services at the McCracken County Jail for the fiscal year July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 be awarded to West Kentucky Correctional Healthcare.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the invoice for the appraisal of the Teletech property located at 2301 McCracken Boulevard in the amount of $1,800 be paid from the Economic Development Line Item Funds.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
So are we the only person paying this appraisal?
Well,
Or the only entity?
that's a good question.
The lease that we had with Teletech, so the building in question is jointly owned with the city of Paducah.
Right.
And McCracken County. They are through the first 5-year term of their lease. And so that triggered 3 appraisals, which in the lease. It was really sort of silent as to who it was to provide those leases. So the city of Paducah paid for one, we paid for one, and GPET is paying for one. 2 of those appraisals are now complete, and we're waiting for the third one. It may or may not mean it will trigger a rent payment from the tenant. That's still to be determined.
Okay.
And the trigger, the issue on what's going to trigger that is whether they've met their...
Whether or not they met their employment targets that were required at the time the lease was signed.
I guess, is that, are they actively asserting that they have met them?
Wouldn't say they are actively asserting that they met them. I don't know that they've denied that either. The city who keeps the payroll records has determined, or in their opinion, that they have not met that threshold. I think the number was 450. That number was not met. The company to this point has made every indication, though, that they want to stay in that location and in that property.
So the appraisal, it tells us the value, or does it tell us the rental value, or both?
The one I procured was both. I decided that. I think the term of the lease, it was to determine our rent, but after I consulted with Benser, he said, "No, there's not going to be that great a difference. If you want to know the entire full value, we're probably going to. That's just one more little component we will examine." So we've, for the purpose of our examination, we got an opinion as to the full cost and to the rental value of the property.
You get that kind of on top of your head you could share with us?
$950 on rent, and I think the value was right at $2.8, which was very similar to what we originally contracted for the property.
So the rent's $9.50 a month or
$9.50 a square foot.
square foot?
Yep.
How much square foot?
28,315 square feet. And if we were to get that much, that would cover the debt and the taxes for, I think, Pam, jump in if I'm wrong, the city and county each contribute $110,000 a year to debt service payments, and then there's another $37,000 a year in taxes that the city and county pay.
So their checks would be written, their rent checks, half would be written to the county and half to the city.
Correct.
GPED wouldn't be collecting rent.
No, they're not in that transaction. They do. There's another building downtown that GPED owns that Teletech pays rent directly to them.
When does this all kind of come to?
October. So that's why we started now. The city manager sent out a letter a couple months ago saying we're getting to the end of this term, and it's time to trigger appraisals in a discussion. So Glenn Anderson has taken the lead on that on our behalf.
I have a question. Who is Glenn Anderson going to renegotiate with them?
We haven't really entered into negotiation at this point. The working group has been myself, the city manager, and Glenn.
And the contract with them originally said that after 5 years, they would begin paying rent. They've had it
No.
rent-free for 5 years, is that right?
If they met their hiring goals, they could continue rent-free.
And it's the past performance, not their promise for the future, right?
After the first 5 years term, correct. So the first 5-year term, it was sort of respective of where they ended up. It had to do with going forward from
So in the terms of
year
the
6.
agreement, if the city certifies that they did not meet the agreement based on payroll taxes, they're supposed to, under the contract, they're supposed to begin immediately paying rent, is that right?
Correct.
So there's no need to negotiate then, right?
Well, the negotiation will come in as to how much rent will be paid, because the lease does not contemplate what the rent is. It said you'll get 3 appraisals and you'll go from that point. We're just at the point of getting appraisals. We have not begun to negotiate the deal going forward yet. We're still in the information collecting stage.
So at least technically, the only thing to decide is what the rent's going to be.
Well, I guess to be two, did they meet their goals? And if they didn't, what the
Yeah, it gets complicated as to an employee and how many hours they work and all that sort of calculation. It is the opinion of the city they haven't met that threshold. The company may have a different opinion about that, and we've yet to hear from them about that. So I'm not ready to say one way or the other that we've decided or said they haven't met their goal. It appears at this point, based on the city of Paducah's tax records, that they have not, but that remains to be determined officially.
And we currently pay that debt out of the general fund, is that right?
Pay that jet out, all of our debt, that particular one out of the general fund, yes.
It sure seems to me that we have an obligation to the public to be ready to file an action for declaratory judgment to determine that issue and not let that issue languish on the date.
I think the lease contemplates a process and how you handle that, subject to whatever the negotiations are. There was no agreement in the lease as to what was the value of the building and what rent would even be going forward, or that rent would even be based on anything. So it will just be.
Did they move the employees from downtown to the other location?
I'm unaware how they make those switches from downtown
will that
out
up
there.
the numbers they have out on McCracken Boulevard? When they move those out, it may put them to where it may
I
trigger.
don't think that will matter.
Okay.
You're saying the lease did not provide for amount of rent if they didn't meet
It provided for a negotiation.
a negotiation?
It said rent based on 3 appraisals. And I'm going entirely from memory right here as to what the lease said.
And we will be, the county will be involved in those negotiations?
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And we're not going to come to a meeting sometime and say, okay, here's what we've agreed to. and we
We're
have-
the landlord.
What is that?
Yeah, I want us to be ready. I just can't imagine this. I don't want us to be in a position where we're having to look everybody in the eye and say, yeah, well, we've got this company, and we just give them a building for free. We've got some more time.
Well, we had done that years ago.
And if you, I know you will, but just keep us informed.
I will.
On where we're at.
I will.
So again, I don't want to come to a meeting one time and have something there that
I understand.
we're back against the wall.
We're a little bit running out of time, so we're still okay at this point because of the first term of the lease doesn't expire until October.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, we got,
I guess we haven't voted on the appraisal, but
oh, did we not? Okay.
I'll make a motion to pay that appraisal.
All right, second? Any discussion, more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Let me pause just a minute. We've got Coroner Melton out here. Coroner, I thought that I saw earlier in the day an order hiring a new assistant, but I don't find it in here now.
I think it's on the consent
Oh,
agenda.
okay, it's on, that's why I can't find it then. Did you want to, do you want to introduce your? I'm sorry, I was thinking it was coming up again.
Good evening. I would like to introduce to you all the newest member of the coroner team. This is Deputy Tyler Crane, and really excited to have him as part of our team moving forward starting July the 1st. Tyler is currently employed with the Paducah Fire Department. He's been with them since 2016 and holds several certifications with them, including he's a licensed EMT, a fire instructor, swiftwater rescue, structure and trench collapse, and hazardous materials. He began his career with the Mayfield Fire Department, but his ultimate goal was to come to Paducah, and we're very glad to have him. He is also a graduate of Lone Oak High School in 2010, so if you do the calculations, he's quite young. And 2014 graduated from WKCTC from the Fire Science program. You know, when people submit references, you can always count on those being pretty sterling, but his were even better. One of his references said that they wish they could bottle his work ethic and sprinkle it over our community. So I was glad to hear that, and I'm very glad to have him as part of our team. Just thought I'd introduce you all to him, so if you see him, you know that he's with us.
Well, good. Thank you. Glad to have you on board.
I appreciate it. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Well, you've got a good boss there. I think.
I'm excited to start new as it, takes off. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be good for me and the office.
Yeah.
So I look forward to it. I appreciate it again.
Yes, sir. Anything
Thank you
else?
all.
Thank you.
Let's see, I think we're to F now, right?
It is ordered to enter into agreement with Construction Safety Consultants, Inc. for safety services and drug screening for the McCracken County Road Department at unit prices and hourly rates in accordance with the agreement for the fiscal year 2019 through 2020, not to exceed $15,000.
So made.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered bid openings were held at 10 a.m. on June 4th, 2019 at the McCracken County Courthouse for bituminous asphalt paving for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. One bid was received from Jim Smith Contracting and was taken under advisement.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the bid for bituminous asphalt paving for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 be awarded to Jim Smith Contracting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
How much was the bid?
Okay.
How much was the bid?
I don't think, for which one?
For
For
Jim's.
Jim's.
I tell you
I
this.
think it's,
I'm going to say I may have it in here. I can find it.
we have a future order for that amount. That was, I want to say $83 a ton in place.
That's for asphalt?
I don't
How
know
much
why-
did you say? I'm sorry.
I don't know why we don't have it in order right away, awarding it.
We do, it's just
You
not,
do,
it doesn't
just-
have a dollar
Oh, it
amount.
doesn't.
It's order H.
I'll find out. If you
Okay.
want to pass by.
All right, we'll come back to it then.
Well, we pass over
Yeah.
H.
Okay.
So we're passing over that, going on to I.
All right.
It is ordered bid openings were held at 10 a.m. on June 5th, 2019 at the McCracken County Courthouse for stone for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. One bid was received from Vulcan Materials and was taken under advisement.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
It is ordered that the bid for stone for period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 be awarded to Vulcan Materials.
So made.
Same issue. There's supposed to be,
I'll second.
a list. I'm sorry, there's supposed to be a list that describes the rock and the price. I don't know what happened.
So we'll get that later. We'll pass over that one and get it later too.
I think we can pass over that.
Okay.
It could be
Come back
in this
to it.
big file I got here. It's very possible. It is ordered bid openings were held at 10 a.m. on June 5th, 2019 at the McCracken County Courthouse for delivered fuel for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. One bid was received from JSC Terminal LLC, DBA Midwest Terminal, and was taken under advisement.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the bid for delivered fuel for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 be awarded to JSC Terminal LLC, DBA Midwest Terminal.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion?
I guess we,
That's probably a moving target on that one, isn't it?
I don't know, do you usually, is there a?
It goes up and down,
Amount above
fuel.
market or something, or, I don't know.
I don't know why that information wasn't included in the report.
Okay.
I would, let's pass over these three and
Okay.
I will have the correct information attached at your next meeting. You should have it.
All right. So,
so
is that the last one that's like, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
last one, looks like it. So I guess technically we just need a motion to pass all three to the next meeting.
I mean, are we gonna need to vote on them before July 1st?
We're the only ones that bid on it.
Okay.
So motion to pass all three of those,
Right.
H, J, and L to the next
We're gonna
meeting.
table them? Is that what we're gonna do? I'll make a motion, we
Yeah.
table H, J, and L until the next
Or we
meeting.
just passed over and we can take one next
Yeah.
meeting.
All right. All in favor, aye.
All right.
Opposed, no. All right, carries. And we're on M.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Alexander Bauer be hired as a full-time nurse, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $20.50 per hour for a 36-hour work week, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Jawanda Phelps be hired as a full-time nurse, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $21.22 per hour, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? Steve, what is it, I know it's, we had discussions before about doing trying to base hourly pay on some basis of starting out and then after a certain period of time or whatever, but is there a reason, I guess there's some reason why Looks like we got one at $21.22, one at $20.90. So what's that, 22 cents less than another? And then there's one at $20 even, one at $21.50, one coming up at $20.30.
The ones that are being adopted for these individuals were the prices, were the amounts they were being paid by their previous employer. So,
Okay.
so the deal that the jailer struck with these prospective employees was to pay you the same, but instead of going through the contractor, you'd be paid directly by the county. I have good intentions of a pay and classification ordinance going forward to address some of the issues that that the clerk has pointed out, and sort of the inconsistencies we have across the departments for similar positions and what we pay. We certainly have, but this would be the only department that we would have nurses in.
Okay.
All right, that's a future project.
All right. All right, so all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Ashley Strong be hired as a full-time nurse, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $20.90 per hour for a 36-hour work week, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Melanie Tynes be hired as a full-time medical nursing administrator, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $27.16 per hour, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Belinda Moore be hired as a full-time nurse, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $20 per hour for a 36-hour week, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Christy Scarborough be hired as a full-time nurse, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $21.50 per hour for a 36-hour work week, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, John Ramsey be hired as a part-time nurse, LPN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $20.30 per hour, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Sherry Latta be hired as a part-time nurse, LPN, on an as-need basis, PRN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $20.60 per hour, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that effective July 1st, 2019, Danielle Gaminsky be hired as a part-time mental health nurse, RN, at the McCracken County Jail at an hourly rate of $25 per hour, less statutory deductions, all of which are subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that the joint resolution supporting and upholding the partnership between the City of Paducah and the County of McCracken to support city's application to the United States Department of Transportation for a Build Better Utilization Investments to Leverage Development grant is adopted.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that after advertisement for request of qualifications 2 proposals were received, and the proposal of Peel and Holland is accepted effective July 1st, 2019.
I'd like to make that so made. I'd like to get it on the floor for discussion.
I'll second the same things when we get to discuss it.
Okay.
All right, discussion.
This is probably one of the harder decisions I've had to make, but I just want to say that both these companies are really good companies. I know both of them, good people running them, good employees. I just feel like at this time the county, we're here as elected officials to do the best we can with the tax dollars we have, and I think we do need to make a change, and that's one of the reasons why I made that motion. And I think that going with CAECO gives us a lot broader scope, and hopefully will get us a lot better pricing.
I think the deputy judge is making this as a recommendation. Can you come and explain your recommendation?
For those of you that asked my opinion and my considered thought on the matter was, first of all, I would like to say to Ronnie. Ronnie's been a tremendous asset for Holland and Stivers. She's the person who is on the front lines, who is here working with the employees on a regular basis, and have nothing but fine things to say about her, and really Ashley and Clay and Jody as well. However, right now at this point, I think we're at a really critical juncture with our health insurance plan. It is really with the changes to the state pension plan. We used to get people to come to work here just for the pension. That is really no longer the case with Tier 3 employees. People used to be able to come to work here. If you were hazardous duty, you could work for 20 years and you could retire. That is no longer the case. And since those changes happened to the pension plan, the county's pay scale really has not kept pace. When I left here 12 years ago, we hired deputy jailers at $12 an hour. Here this many years later, we still hire deputy jailers at $12 an hour. So really the best benefit that we have to offer our employees is our health benefit plan. It has to be effective, and it has to be economical for the county. And what I discovered when I got here in February is that the county doesn't have a very good strategy with its health insurance plan. We're really not actively participating in any sort of a strategy that helps control costs. The wellness plan that we have is really in no way connected to a strategy to address cost drivers inside of our plan. While that's not the case, I don't totally lay that at the feet of Holland and Stivers. I mean, I think the county had some shared responsibility in not seeing to that happening. And I think we're sort of what we've seen in premium increases over the last 3 years. Yes, from the prior year to the current year, we were flat, but over the last several years, we seem to be on a trajectory that is somewhat unsustainable. I think it is really important for us to have the ability to look at CAECO and see if that's an option for us. Peel and Holland right now is our insurance representative on all of our other issues: workers' comp, general liability, everything else. We ensure we do that with Peel and Holland, and we have a high level of confidence in them. And it was for those reasons that I recommended to you that you select Peel and Holland.
I agree with Commissioner Parker. This is a hard decision because they are both good companies, and they both have a presence in McCracken County and are from West Kentucky. This last year, I did a little research, and as I understand it, the there was no increase in healthcare costs for those in the CAECO group, and some counties received even a decrease in their health insurance. I talked to a commissioner from Graves County today, and he said they were able to save enough in their health insurance that they were able to increase some benefits to their employees by adding life insurance. We already provide life insurance, but they were able to pay for their life insurance for their employees on their savings from their health insurance. I think being part of a group of like employers, I think there's 50-some counties involved with the CAECO group insurance, and I think the fact that they're all the same type of operations should benefit us, and hopefully in the future we can see some of these decreases and save money and continue to provide the level of service that we provide. Again, it's a tough decision. You don't, because we've been given good service, but it's something we need to do to try to save money, and I think we can do that by the fact that it's a group of 50-some other counties. And the fact was, Steve mentioned that we have all our other insurance through there, so I think it's just a decision we need to make.
Any other discussion?
I have one question too. Can a transition be made by July 1st? Or does more time be needed for that?
That will be, when you select someone, you put them to work. I don't expect it's just a cutoff. They will have to, the new contractor will have to work out the issue of transition.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'll say, I don't like the process. And the process is that we have to make a decision without looking at the price of the product. And I don't like that. And I'm going to defer to the collective wisdom. But I don't like the decision I'm having to make. And but as I understand it, it's the law. That's how this gets done.
All right. So all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. All right.
It is ordered to change Jason Logsdon, Deputy Coroner's salary structure temporarily from 96 hours per month to 192 hours per month for the month of July at a salary $1,583.36. This is due to the vacant Deputy Coroner position.
So made.
Second.
I've got a question. The new deputy coroner begins working July 1st. Do they need a training period? Is that why the?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
30-day training period.
Okay.
Any other
It's
discussion?
also due to the resignation of the other deputy, so that Amanda doesn't have to work for very straight days. They call the call.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
It is ordered that the invoice from the Auditor of Public Accounts for audit of fiscal year 2016-2017 of McCracken County Fiscal Court in the amount of $57,376.99 be paid.
So made.
Second.
For discussion.
All right. And discussion?
Second.
I know we got some emails from you on this. Are we working on getting we're just going to pay them and bite the bullet, or are we working on a payment schedule? Or?
Well, I'm going to make an attempt. Of course, the next one we see is the 2018. It's right at $44,000. So we have $100,000 to pay to the auditor for 2 years audits, and these audits were not made back in 17 or 18. They should have been. You've seen the audits are in your packets. Audits are terrible.
Quite ugly.
That's maybe even a generous term, terrible. And so that's one of the reasons. I know those people, there were 2 and I think even 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, over a period of time, for a long period of time, here doing these audits. And because they couldn't find the documentation they needed, they couldn't reconcile various budget items, assets were overstated, understated. There was I think a 1.25 or $1.25 million discrepancy in one of the audits. But anyway, so I'm aware that it took them a long time, and I've talked with the treasurer, I've talked with Mr. Doolittle, and certainly there was a lot of work required for them to figure out the county's financials from 17 and 18. And so I thought, why not give it a shot? I got the name of a person to begin the discussion, talk with them, see if we can get that. I'm going to ask them for an itemization of their time, see if we see anything there we can work with. If not, just ask if they would consider reducing it just because we're going to be bleeding to pay the thing. And if not, can we stretch it out over some payments so it won't hurt quite so badly? And go through that process. But I don't know what to say about it. We're required to do audits annually, and they were not done. And then the catching up part, of course, we had Pam came in July, I think, is that right? Mm-hmm. Of 18. And it was very difficult for her to reconcile, just as it was for the auditors. We had a treasurer for 1 year, the year before she came in, and then a long-time treasurer for several years before that. But I guess the details are in the audits themselves. So we'll make an attempt to try to get it knocked down. It's a terrible time to have that cost, but that is one of the reasons. We're going to have to create some revenue. We can't continue. We had the discussion of paying operating expenses out of savings and not increasing, not even taking the more than the compensating rate that we're entitled to for many years. And now we can no longer just keep the revenue income where it is. We've got to generate revenue. We can't pay the bills if we don't. Pensions, we've talked about that cost increasing. And so finally now, or we can decide we're just going to kick it too and hope and pray that we don't have any catastrophe and just keep borrowing. I'm not willing to do that. We're going to face some criticism for having to create more revenue, but what are you going to do? Costs increase, and you're going to keep the revenue the same. We don't want to start laying people off, cut services. You either cut costs or you lay people off. We're taking steps to try to. I don't know how it can be really more thrifty. These hiring of I think it's 9 medical people was in the workshop where that's a strategy. People may say, well, if you're hurting so bad, why'd you hire 9 new people? It's because the 9 new people we believe are going to save us a substantial amount of money in addressing the health costs of the inmates in the jail. Tremendous costs. you might suspect that the people that come into jail aren't the healthiest people in the world. And we as the county are saddled with the responsibility of taking care of their health needs, their essential health needs. So that's my moaning groan.
I didn't mean to get you on a tyrant there, but that's okay.
Oh, I've got a tyrant built up, but I didn't let that go.
You feel better now, huh?
Do we need to pass over these so you negotiate with them?
Well, we were, I talked briefly with Steve about it, and this could be, that's what the bill is. I don't know that it's, you thought.
I would recommend you pass them, in an amount not to exceed.
Okay.
And therefore, if we're able to successfully negotiate these, that we still have authorization to pay.
I'll make that motion that we go to amount not to exceed $57,376.99.
Second.
All right, any further discussion on the amendment?
Well, I guess it's just, I feel like we owe a little bit of public comment. Maybe this is not the right time about what we're doing so that we don't end up in the same spot.
Well, it's a time to.
I'll go with the amendment first.
Okay. We'll vote on the amendment.
All right. The amendment is to insert the words "not to exceed."
In an amount not to exceed.
Okay, in an amount not to exceed.
Right.
$57,376.99. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And now, any further discussion on? Is that what we're going to discuss now?
Yeah, I think this is now the news, and I think Steve, I'm sure there's some reflection on. This is not necessarily our report card, but how do we make sure we don't get a report card similar to this?
I think a number of things came together that caused the collection of unflattering comments. I think a lot of it had to do with you've had 3 treasurers in 3 fiscal years. That doesn't help the process, and it doesn't help that the treasurer comes from a very small office. There's only one treasurer. There's not assistant treasurers or anything like that. So when you sort of and maybe in 17 or 18, had there been some continuity of treasurer, I think the bill would have possibly been smaller. She could have retrieved her own records a little bit easier, and maybe brought some context and explanation to it.
Some of the deficiencies were related to the jail. Is that something that can be corrected by the county treasurer, or is that something that has to be corrected at the jail level?
The comments that are particular to the jail, particularly the ones that have to do with the commissary account, that those comments belong to the jailer, and in this case, the previous jailer. There are the comments in the audit that belong to the fiscal court and to the treasurer, and some of them have some pretty deep roots. I think what you do going forward is you hold Pam and I accountable so that doesn't happen again. But I would also tell you that I don't think we're going to dig out of all of those problems in a single year. I think it will take a series of years and a series of improved practices before all of those comments disappear. Like, for example, it was only since I've been here in February, and for the coming fiscal year, are we putting all of the debt in the budget? So we'll probably get that comment one more time, that not all of the debt payments were reflected in the budget. I think that could very well happen again. I think there's some that we're aware of that we're taking management steps to address, but they've already occurred in this fiscal year that we're probably going to see show up again. So what I would like to say is over a period of the next 2 to 3 years, not in the necessarily in the 19 audit, but in the 2021-22 audit going forward, will we take the management steps necessary to make all of these audit comments go away.
I think it's important too, and tell me if I'm right about this, these deficiencies were in procedural matters, and there's no indication of any funds being misappropriated or...
I would not say there was any indication of fraud or anything like that. There would be nothing referred for prosecution or anything. It all had to do with procedure and how well we executed.
Right. And again, I think we can attribute that to the fact that we had 3 treasurers, and maybe the learning curve of the one in the middle maybe didn't have time to fully understand. He came from a private background, not from a...
Wasn't governmental.
From not governmental background, and there's different hoops to jump through, and again, I think it was all procedural.
And didn't really stay long enough to put their imprint on it, but so I think you know, an audit really, it's an important document, an important tool to understand your financial position and an examination of your practices, but it's practices that occurred in the past, and all we can do at this point really is to pledge that we're going to do better going forward.
And again, one of the reasons you have audits conducted to make sure everything's done procedurally correct. And the fact that it took the auditor 2 years to do one of the audits, we didn't get the audit. If we'd have gotten the audit in a timely manner, normally when a fiscal year ends on June 30th, by early the next calendar year, you usually have your audit.
I would think in the first 2 quarters of the next fiscal year,
so if
you
we
should get your audit completed.
In a timely manner, there wouldn't be as many deficiencies in the second audit.
We're almost 3 years since, so that we're talking comments that go back to the fiscal year that started July 1, 2016. So that's getting to be a long time ago at this point.
Well, why was the audit not done in 16 and 17?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I will say, in one of those accountability things, that's something that has to happen, I think, in the first 2 quarters of your next fiscal year. So that becomes a meaningful document to you, not only for budgeting, but for management practices. It's so when they're making comments about your practices and you find out about them 3 years later, you might expect that those same practices were compounded and they continued on. So that's why I said earlier, I think you will see some of those same audit comments. They will continue on for a year or two, because you can't correct that which you didn't even know you were doing.
Would there be any merit to incurring the expense of some private audits before we go through the public audit of the auditor?
The second part of my statement was going to be hold us accountable, but also give us resources when we ask for them. And before we get into the next audit, I do think it would be wise to bring in not just an accountant, but an accountant that does governmental audits, and have them help us get ready for the next audit. And that entails some tidying up of the things, knowing the things the next auditor is going to look for, and sort of intercepting some of those issues before they actually occur. And I think those dollars will be wisely spent, because they will likely come off the price of the next audit, and then you won't perhaps suffer some of those slings and arrows in comments, because those can be straightened out before the auditor gets here. So, and that needs to be done annually.
So on the inmate front, you looked at the what I interpreted is they were flagging the issue that there was somebody, a third party, running the inmate fund, and that the jailer had no real ability to say, yes, you're treating that money right or you're treating that money wrong. Are we still in that type of situation?
I don't know if he's here. I think we've switched the commissary account by now. But as I sat through the exit interview, the complaint I heard from the auditor was, you don't have any management control over the person that's controlling those books. When they asked the jailer for, and this is the previous jailer, they asked for statements and bank records. They couldn't immediately produce them in the office, and had found where some inmates that had left and had dollars left in their accounts didn't get refunded. That goes back several years. So the jailer now is aware of those comments and should take care of those going forward. And I don't know the structure of how that was working or why that was being allowed, and I don't know that that's necessarily an uncommon condition, because I don't know if there's any jail in the state of any size that doesn't have a third party operating it. I think it went to what was our level of control and our communication between the contractor and the jailer. It evidently was not good.
Gotcha. So, again, these, I don't think there was any allegation that any inmates had gotten money stolen from them or any funds were missing. It was just a lack of interest between the jailer and the person managing that fund.
Yes.
So, same question, I guess, with regard to Carson Park. That was a cash issue, and I guess I look at cash issues a little more greater scrutiny.
Yeah, and so that one was, we're not talking large dollars here, but we have one person that collects the horse stall money, and it's hard to do segregation of duties at Carson Park when you have one employee, and it had to do with they wanted triplicate receipts, and they wanted a lockbox for him to put the money in when.
So that's the cash we're talking about. The cash from the horses.
For horse stall rental.
For the 5 horses.
Yep. And we collect $20 a month. This month's going to be a little bit better.
Because we got the harness rates.
So we have already corrected that one, and we have provided Tony, or Pam has the way she wants him to keep records, and he is. We've given him a lockbox, a place to put the money before he comes down to the judge's office and turns the money in. That one was a relatively small one.
Well, I'll be interested in whatever resources that you guys feel you need to make sure that we're getting a good report card.
The one that we have been emphasizing strictly for the last couple of months is purchase orders. You saw a comment in, I believe, both 17 and 18 that the county doesn't follow its purchase order rules. We've taken a pretty hard stance on enforcing that rule. It's embedded in state law and in the administrative code. So it evidently wasn't practiced very well. Departments somewhat have the opinion after you provide me my budget, I can spend whatever I want, whenever I want, and that's not exactly the case. We use the purchase order system both to enforce the policies of the fiscal court with required to, for example, bids and quotes, but also, do we have funds available at this time to do that?
What was the issue? It looked like there was a vehicle that they thought they were buying it on state rate, but didn't buy it at state rate. Was that in 2018?
I don't recall. Do you remember, Pam? Pam remembers.
That was, the vendor they bought it from,
They relied on the vendor to give them the state price, and the vendor was wrong.
yes, yeah.
And the
They didn't go through the proper procedures because. it
Right,
had-
the vendor actually didn't have the state contract. They
Right.
just offered state contract pricing.
Yes.
So that was the issue.
Yes.
That one should have been a sealed bid issue. Had they been the actual contractor, there wouldn't have been an issue.
So we didn't pay any more money.
We didn't pay any more money.
we
It
just
was
gave
it
somebody
was a
kind of-
violation of procedure.
We gave somebody the right to do that bid that shouldn't have gotten that right. Because
And there was a right way to do it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't done that way.
I was surprised to hear the purchase order issue, because I know we had discussion about that in the past. With the fiscal court, I don't remember all the details now, but some issues came up that some county leaders or the department heads had made purchases without a purchase order, and we had discussion about that, and it was pretty clear. I don't know what happened, that it fell through the cracks. I don't know.
I think we're doing better. The clerk does an excellent job, for example, about getting prior authorization. We still have a little bit of, every now and then Gina walks in with here's one that came through without prior authorization. We deal with those and take those as still as some teaching moments, and generally when I go to the constitutional office, they were, oversight, didn't intend to do that. One slipped through. Some departments have, in my view, too many people authorized to buy stuff. So where departments that sort of internally have better control on that, we have less of that issue that tends to happen.
True.
Any other questions?
Well, I guess the one issue that seemed to hit home to the fiscal court is approving transfers after the fact. Are we in pretty good shape that we're not doing that?
So part of what that issue is, when you were religiously reading those orders every meeting about cash transfers, and there were amounts, it turns out the treasurer really wasn't transferring any money from the general fund into those other funds. So like when you read tonight the cash transfers, those were actual transfers that needed to happen, typically from the general fund to either road, sheriff, or jail, typically. Found out there were a whole batch of them in the past that the number that said cash transfer really added up to the bills that were due in this meeting for that. So if it said jail $122,000 is cash transfer, turned out we were just paying $122,000 in jail bills, when in fact maybe no money was being transferred to the jail at that point. So that was sort of a revelation to find out that was being done that way, and maybe there was some misunderstanding about how that's to be done. But what that really means is, so when you approve bills, and whether it's from one of the funds, typically the dollars you see go out of here on any given night are general fund, road fund, jail fund, and sheriff's fund. We will pay bills if they have balances, enough money sitting in those funds to pay bills. If not, we have to transfer funds, and it's typically from the general fund. So it just wasn't being done that way. It wasn't being done properly.
So you're saying that we would approve maybe transferring $50,000 to the jail fund, but we didn't?
You really didn't.
Because they already had $50,000 in the fund.
Right. It turned out it was just, if you added up the bills that were being paid at that meeting from that fund, that's all it really meant. It did not really mean you were transferring money from the general fund into that fund. So when we, in our accounting system and per state law, when we pay a bill from a fund, there has to be money to back that up. We don't have one big miscellaneous account. So the treasurer makes that transfer inside the system with your approval. Well, there were at least a couple years you were making approvals, but they weren't really, evidently in all cases, connected to what the treasurer was actually doing. And,
And that-
you know, and you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't have any way of really knowing that. That's the type of thing that can be found in an audit.
I know it was dinged previously for that same thing, but I think in the past there were some bills paid that it wasn't technically transferred, they just moved the money over without it being approved, but.
Moved
this is
money
something
without
different.
approving it, right. Or in some case, money didn't need to be approved. There was sufficient funds to pay the bill from the fund. So, I don't know, there was evidently some practice that the cash transfers basically added up to equal to the bills that were being paid that night in that fund.
And the way they build up account balances is if the jail collects fees, it goes into their account, right?
Right, correct,
And then the general fund money makes up for anything not in there.
correct.
Pam, don't leave us.
I won't.
You're more valuable. We like you.
Thank you.
You're going to fix all this.
Well, I will say I was very highly impressed with Pam and with Steve both and their financial knowledge, and because I'm not a financial person, and I have no doubt that well, I certainly could get worse, but I don't. Well, anyway, I know we're on the right track. Pam's doing a great job, and it's got other people in the office that are really good at their job, and look at it turned around. It's just frustrating to see that, you know, these kind of reports, but we're on the right track. So.
Okay, so did we vote on why?
No, we haven't voted on it yet.
It's been amended?
Yep.
Yes, I've got a motion, well,
We approved the amendment.
Not to exceed the,
All right.
right,
And so,
and then y'all voted on that, I just haven't voted, we haven't.
okay, so we need to.
Why is amendment?
Yeah. So is there a motion to
We've already got a motion.
approve Y as amended?
So we just
Aye.
call the question?
All right, no more discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. And then Z.
It is ordered that the invoice from the Auditor of Public Accounts for the audit of fiscal year 2017-2018 of McCracken County Fiscal Court in the amount of $43,823.48 be paid.
I move we amended to say an amount not to exceed 43,823.48.
second.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right. Any discussion on the as amended?
Aye.
No.
No. All right. Any opposed?
No, I'm for
That
it.
carries. All right. All right, that's the 43.8. Okay. And we've got several ordinances.
Okay, before we go to that, I don't know if you want to do anything, but I found those bids.
Oh, you did?
I knew if I kept looking long enough in this massive amount of papers, I would find them.
I
'Cause-
would like to go back to those.
Okay.
Read those.
And Lynn has them nicely labeled for me because she thought maybe that might be. So yes, I found them all in this folder.
All right.
If y'all
Go
want to
back
go
on
back and
H,
revisit
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right, go back to H.
We'll pass them out.
Hmm.
We good?
Do you want to talk to them about it, or do you want to, how do you want to do it?
I will.
You probably can
Familiar with them.
I just think we need to make the amounts
much better
public.
than me.
Oh, thank you for finding these, Julie.
I've been over here just digging. I knew they had to be in here somewhere between these two files.
Okay, are you ready to do the asphalt one?
Yeah, that's H.
The pricing that goes with that, and there was just a single bid from a single vendor, Jim Smith Contracting. Surface in place, which includes leveling and that's edge milling, $79 a ton. Surface FOB, $66 a ton. Base in place, $79 a ton. Base FOB, $62 a ton. DGA for shoulders, $44 a ton. DGA for roadbed, $35 a ton. 4-inch yellow striping, 15 cents, that would be a foot. 4-inch white striping, 15 cents a foot. And milling is $2,100 per hour with a 5-hour minimum.
Do we need to amend the court order to include those numbers?
I think so. I think that would
So
be
moved.
wise. And
We amended to include those numbers.
All right.
Second.
Any more further discussion on that? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, that carries.
Then we vote on
Then go and vote on the amended order then. Motion,
So made.
We don't need a motion, we just need to vote on it because it's already on the floor.
Right.
Yeah, we just need to vote, so we need to do that.
Mhm.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's granted. And then on, let's see, at J, that was
That's for
the
the stone
Vulcan.
Vulcan.
all right, and stop me if you have any questions. DGA, FOB, this would be 2 Coleman Road. That would be our delivery site for this. $875 a ton. If we go to the plant, DGA is $14.10 a ton. Class 2 line,
Is it more if you go pick it up than deliver it?
those must have been transposed because it is less if we go to, it's recorded that way on the sheet, but you're correct. It's the other way around. It's cheaper if we go pick it up. So it's $14.10 if it's delivered, and it's $8.75 if we pick it up. Class 2 lining, so think riprap. It's $17.10 at the plant, or I'm sorry, $17.10 delivered, $11 at the plant. Channel 3, different size lining. It's $11 at the plant, $17.10 delivered. 300-pound channel lining delivered, $17.10 at the plant, $11. Number 3, this is a different rock size. It's $17.60 delivered, $12.25 at the plant. 1/4-inch minus, so this will be the more of the fines. It's $15.10 and $9.75. Number 610s, it's $14.10 and $8.75 again. Number 9M, it's $17.85 and $12.50, and the per mile delivery from the plant is $2.50. So if we ask them to deliver it straight to the job site, it'll be that much. And in some cases, if we're on that side of the county, we'll actually do that. Most of the time, we bring rock to the road department, have it delivered there, and we distribute it. But in some cases, we will actually buy it directly from the plant.
I move we amend the order to include those numbers.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And all in favor of the amended?
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, that carries as amended then. Then we have, let's see, L, that was the Midwest Fuel.
Fuel, yeah.
So there was one bid just to JCS, doing business as Midwest Terminal, and this is bid as a margin over an acronym called OPUS, and I can't remember what OPUS stands for, but it's something that's a daily published rate, and what they don't bid us a per gallon rate, they bid us the margin above OPUS. And for gasoline, it's 15 cents a gallon, and for diesel, it's 15 cents a gallon.
That's for each class, whether it's delivered or...
I believe this bid was for me see if there was a. This is for delivered gas and fuel at the road department only.
I move we amend it to include those numbers.
So made.
That's second then. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All in favor of the amended?
Aye.
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 No. That carries. All right. Who remembers where we were?
Ordinances.
Where?
Ordinances.
We're on AA?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay. So I'm reading in summary, which Sam, I discussed with you. Which is what's on here in summary, or how from this. I guess this is just where we're taking that on, right?
You don't think we should? That's on the consent.
Yeah.
Right, that part of it. Okay, gotcha. I didn't either, that's why it confused me.
I thought we were adjusting that now for next year.
Okay, this is second reading. Ordinance setting and establishing the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 operating budget for the funding of all McCracken County governmental operations, prepared in strict compliance with the mandates of Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 68. The action taken by the present ordinance is required by Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 68, and is carried out in strict compliance with the same. After detailed investigation by the McCracken County Fiscal Court into each separate activity of the county and necessary funding requirements for the provision of the same, a proposed county budget is now prepared and submitted for approval of the fiscal court with the expenditure allocated to budget units as classified below. Number 1, general fund. General government, $4,526,643. Protection of persons and property, $713,778. General health and sanitation, $423,607. Social services, $50,000. Recreation and culture, $299,900. Airports, $135,000. General obligation bonds, $51,000. Capital projects, $13,250. General services, $1,052,670. Contingent appropriations, $500,000. Fringe benefits, employer's share, $1,782,750, and that's all for a total of $9,548,598. Number 2, road fund. Roads, $2,922,284. Fringe benefits, employer's share, $699,402 for a total $3,621,686. Jail fund. Protection to persons and property, $5,223,624. General services, $9,000. Fringe benefits employer share, $2,004,910, for a total of $7,237,534. Local Government Economic Assistance Fund, Social Services, $500, for a total of $500. State Government Funds, Social Services, $40,000, for a total of $40,000. Federal Grants Funds, Social Services, $20,000, for a total of $20,000. Sheriff Fund, General Government, $3,230,271. Fringe Benefits Employer Share, $1,944,448, for a total of $5,174,719. Economic Assistance Fund, $0. Juvenile Justice Fund, Protection to Persons and Property, $35,000, for a total of $35,000. Transient Room Tax Distribution, Recreation and Culture, $2,085,091, for a total $2,085,091. Debt Service Fund, Bonds Courthouse, $131,037. Other county liabilities, $2,097,986, for a total $2,229,023. For a grand total of all funds, $29,992,151. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of Ordinance Number 2019-04. Ordinance Number 2019-04 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Amending this one. Okay, this is on the administrative code, yeah. Okay. An ordinance amending McCracken County Ordinance Number 2017-04 by making revisions to the McCracken County Administrative Code pertaining to provisions in the following areas: probationary employment, at-will employment, termination of employment, compensatory time, and establishing a comprehensive anti-harassment policy and complaint procedure. The present ordinance makes revisions to the McCracken County Administrative Code within Chapter 5 entitled Policies and Procedures as follows. Number 1, creating a new section entitled Probationary Employment. Number 2, creating a new section entitled At-Will Employment. Number 3, modifying existing language pertaining to employee terminations. Number 4, modifying existing language pertaining to compensatory time. And 5, creating a comprehensive anti-harassment policy and I can never say that word.
Complaint?
No, the one before it.
Delineating?
Delineating.
Oh, I don't have that language here.
Okay.
Delineating.
Complaint procedures in relation thereto. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of Ordinance Number 2019-05. Ordinance Number 2019-05 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
motion
So made.
Second.
and discussion?
Yeah, I move that we amend our definition of discrimination and harassment consistent with the attached amendment, or not just attached, but
Second.
You got this?
Second, and then this is what we
this is what we did
hashed
in
around.
the workshop.
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no?
That's on the amendment.
All right, and then all in favor of the ordinance as amended then?
So made.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that carries.
So you made the motion, and
Bill made it, Eddie second.
you made it, so, okay.
And we got a 2019-06.
Okay.
Yard waste.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2000-14 by creating a new provision prohibiting the unlawful deposit and/or collection of yard waste upon public roadways and by providing for the definition of key terms necessary in the implementation of the same. The action taken by the present ordinance is expressly authorized by Kentucky Revised Statute Section 67.083, number 3, sections A, C, H, I, and T, which grant fiscal courts the power to enact ordinances in furtherance of the following governmental functions: abatement of public nuisances, public sanitation and vector control, conservation, preservation, and enhancement of natural resources, including water, control of floods, and the provision and regulation of streets, roads, and related facilities. The present ordinance prohibits the deposit and/or accumulation of yard waste upon public roadways in order to combat the public safety hazards posed by such condition upon motorcyclists and bicyclists, as well as negative impact by the same upon public drainage works and natural water courses through the promotion of the growth of algae and introduction of pollutants. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2019-06. Ordinance number 2019-06 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just what process do we need to undertake a process in which we let people know that this is now an ordinance? I'm just trying to figure out how a guy mowing his yard figures out this is now a little different than it was before this ordinance.
I don't know. We need
They're in the paper, aren't they, Steve?
Well, we certainly publish in summary form the ordinance, and I think there'll be enough language in there that if you're really interested, you'll go to our website or request a copy of it. I don't have a lot of space, and a lot of people actually do that. As you were saying that, I was thinking perhaps we should put out a press release about this and try to get some attention in the local media. Use the sheriff's Facebook page and others to say this is, going to be an unlawful activity, and the county aims to enforce this ordinance.
I really think it's important that we take some steps to let everybody know. I mean, if we felt it important to take the ordinance, and
I think a press release is a good idea. I think if you put something together and send it out. I think Senator Carroll has proposed a bill in Frankfurt to make it a statewide thing, so he can just follow our lead.
Sounds like he is.
And we, Sam, we don't need a penalty provision in here because it's in an
There's a
ordinance.
general penalty provision in the nuisance code,
Okay.
and it actually relates back to the provisions that we just enacted.
Oh, okay.
So there is a penalty.
It's a it's a misdemeanor, right?
It's a misdemeanor, I think it's a maximum of, I think, 45 days for first offense.
Ooh.
I actually got 6 or 8 calls on this, the reason I brought it up, when that, and I can't,
Even the most minuscule code violation that you find, a lot of times are punishable by up to 12 months.
12 months.
I just,
I mean, that'll never happen, but internationally that way.
I just feel like we probably ought to tell people, by the way, it's now against the law to throw your grass in the street.
Well, we'll put together some kind of release and, all right, let's see, where were we?
I have a motion and a second, so I
Motion
just need
second.
y'all.
Hold on, discussion, any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
one you've been waiting for.
Now, Sam, I don't see a summary on this one, so I'm assuming I'm reading the whole thing.
Hold on.
On the acquisition of the property, or, yeah, the 1605 North Friendship Road, Lotus.
I don't recall doing the summary.
Yeah.
I think Lisa did it.
That's one paragraph.
Well, let's see what we got here.
See
Well,
one.
it's not all that long.
I don't mind reading it, but I couldn't find a summary on it, so just go ahead and read it.
Let's just read it, just.
Okay.
In order to do the summary, you gotta have all the.
I'll probably skip the whereas.
Right.
Go right to the ordinance.
Take off.
I'm sorry?
So you can probably skip the whereas's, can't you? And go right to the.
Yeah, all you really need to do is just name it by number and then read the declaration, the title. And like this says, you can jump past the whereas's.
So just read it at the top?
Read the
What's at the
caption
top?
at the very top, the bold at the top, and then the now therefore, and afterwards.
Now therefore be it ordained from that
Yeah.
point on?
Yeah, let's try that.
Saves a little bit.
An ordinance declaring McCracken County-owned real property located at 1605 North Friendship Road in Paducah, McCracken County, Kentucky, as surplus, approving the sale and transfer of the surplus property, and authorizing the execution of the deed of conveyance. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of the County of McCracken County as follows. Section 1, recitals and authorizations. The county hereby declares the property to be surplus property as it relates to the operations of McCracken County. Section 2, recitals and authorizations. The county hereby approves the sale and transfer of the property to Rape Victim Services, Inc., doing business as Lotus. Section 3, recitals and authorizations. That the Judge Executive of McCracken County, Kentucky, be and is hereby authorized to execute and deliver a general warranty deed of the property and all other documentation necessary to effectuate the transfers of the property, Rape Victim Services, Inc., doing business as Lotus. Section 4, severability. If any section, paragraph, or provision of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unenforceable for any reason, the invalidity or unenforceability of such section, paragraph, or provision shall not affect any of the remaining provisions of this ordinance. Section 5, compliance with open meetings laws. The fiscal court hereby finds and determines that all formal actions relative to the adoption of this ordinance were taken in an open meeting of the fiscal court, and that all deliberations of this fiscal court and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action were in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements. Section 6, conflicts. All ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are, to the extent of such conflict, hereby repealed, and the provision of this ordinance shall prevail and be given effect. Section 7, effective date. This ordinance shall read on 2 separate days and will become effective upon summary publication pursuant to KRS Chapter 424. Introduced, seconded, and adopted at a duly convened meeting of the Fiscal Court of the County of McCracken, Kentucky, held on June 24, 2019, after first reading held on June 10, 2019, signed by the Judge Executive of the county, attested by the McCracken County Clerk, filed and indexed as provided by law.
You read the description?
Oh,
No? Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. It carries.
Congratulations.
All right. Do we have a need for an executive session?
Well, I could just say the word sportsplex one time, and then we could adjourn.
I'm good with that. I've been better without it. All right, we don't need an executive session.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
Steve.
We gone.